they're now down to a single best of 3. Frosco, thank you so much for your analysis and setting up that very juicy story thread for us. Hopefully we'll get some payoff later on in this best of 5 as we now get into picks and bans for game number 3. Varus is the first pick towards EDG, and with Ashe banned away from Zet, that means he's going to show us something a little different, and his Kog'Maw banned away as well. We do still have double jungle ban along with what appears to be a Shen taken away from Xiyang.
We're also on the same side of the rift again between games 2 and 3.
Yep.
They have chosen to be on blue once more. The EDG, which means their first pick you would expect would be crucial. With the Ashe ban, they prioritized the Varus.
Yeah, prioritizing their bottom lane this time, but OMG takes something different. They prioritize jungle and top. This is typically where we see the AD carry out of OMG, but with two of them banned away and one of them first pick, they decide to fall down the rung, and that's Caitlyn for Smlz bottom.
Yeah, now Kennen was banned in game number 2 by OMG in their first 3 rotations of the ban phase. Ashe now instead, and that gives Koro the availability of actually picking up the Kennen for himself. Obviously not going to be an AD carry with Varus there, but it speaks positively towards EDG's draft if they're being given the Rek'Sai before the second ban phase and the Kennen before that second ban phase once more.
Yeah, we are racing through this pick and ban. Seems like EDG have a very clear idea of what they want and what they want to get rid of. And OMG are matching them pace by pace, step by step, as we now get towards the final ban from OMG in the second half. Fizz, Lee Sin, and Caitlyn still holding on to that mid and support. We're also seeing the same thing out of EDG, looking for their own mid and support.
And we don't expect a Thresh ban out of EDG this time around. There's no support being focused whatsoever in the pick ban phase. OMG still to ban. Maybe it is the respect. I was going to say Orianna, but he beat me to it. Away from Scout, just based off game number 1 alone.
Yeah, there's the Ahri ban away from Icon, so EDG respecting the damage that he did. Even if he didn't get MVP, still huge presence on the map. Okay. And yeah, with the supports open, you said it before, that's Karma wide open.
But this isn't just a support now, so it's a flex for OMG. They can go the Karma, but they can put that Karma to the mid lane, especially with all of the bans now going down towards Icon with the Echo and the Ahri. He has choices, but that's one of the choices that he's gone towards in this series already.
Yeah, focusing that Karma to enable his AD carry on Smlz. His Thresh was available, but decided to stick towards it. Now EDG get the chance to answer with their own support, still hanging on to that mid laner for just a few seconds longer, as that's Lulu now locked in for Meiko. So we've got Varus, Lulu bottom.
They're locked in a standard but very strong bottom lane. This is also not going to be a surprise if we see this. They can throw a spanner in the works and pick something with a bit more mobility once again. But Scout doesn't know what he's playing against, so a Twisted Fate would be a very risky pick. Talia, also an option.
Yeah, that was banned away from him in game number 1. In fact, the first ban that OMG threw at EDG in the entire best of 5. And with that Syndra, we've got the exact same mid and bottom from the team. The only change we're seeing out of EDG is that Rek'Sai for Clearlove instead of Kha'Zix, and up top, Kennen for Koro instead of that Fizz. Now OMG get to pick mid laner for themselves. It's going to be Jayce for Icon in the mid lane.
Arcos look good on Jayce. I think there's no reason to really be...
They're actually swapping it over. That's Jayce for Xiyang.
Yeah, always going to be a flex. Fizz, you never know when it is going to go mid lane. It's into a Syndra. Icon already showing his ability to play Assassins again, just a good matchup. Jayce is also a good matchup past the first recall, which is why we expected to go mid lane, just for the Hex Drinker purpose. But having the Fizz into the Kennen perhaps was a cause for concern enough to have that be flexed either way towards the middle lane position. They can interchange as they would like, not just in the draft, but also in-game between the Jayce and the Fizz. They're very capable split-pushing champions. We may well see a 1-3-1 come out of OMG as a team.
So this is actually fairly surprising as the coaches don't shake hands?
One was looking.
Yeah, perhaps the coach from OMG. We'll assume he was distracted. We'll see in the next set if he will go back and actually shake hands with the coach of EDG. But the point that I was getting to, we've never seen Xiyang take Jayce in professional League of Legends history. He has never taken it in a pro game. This is the first time in game number 3 against EDG in this best of 5. So still good to see the players grow and improve over time and bring us these new sets, these new champions.
Well, when they constantly play well and get things banned away from them, eventually you have to bring out something new, something different. Shen, Renekton now bans that are going to be shared away from Xiyang, and then you've got Echo and Ahri away from Icon. So already 2-star players it seems to be on this team, taking a lot of the focus, Kog'Maw as well from Smlz. So That's just 5 target bans at the moment. Nothing meta actually taken away from OMG, meaning that as we go into these games, there is just so much strong standard champion that is actually there for them, available every time.
And with these comps, we're now getting ready to load onto the Rift. Smlz as deadpan as ever, as it is just another day in the office for him on that Caitlyn Karma into the exact same bottom lane. Perhaps he can put EDG back in a hole once again. As we load on to the Rift, the audience is ready, and we heard the tired chants from EDG in game number 2. Do you think they revitalize here in game 3?
I think EDG as a team may have gone backstage and been revitalized, but the fans really can't tell till they yell. That guy's a beast. He likes OMG.
The massive chance from 3. EDG, it's a building rumble. They don't think they're out of this just yet. They're not putting themselves down.
That microphone's just too close to the OMG fans.
But that OMG guy, he is on top of it.
So now we're actually under the Rift. It is game 3 for the 3rd place match in the LPL. Very important Worlds implications for both of these teams if they're thinking long term, which they should be.
I think right now they just focus on the laning phase. Icon, actually shows that he takes Deadly Trickster to avoid that damage. And OMG running Team Thunderlords. Smlz going for some sustain. And meanwhile for EDG, we do see variety with Fervor of Battle on their AD carries, Thunderlords on mid and support, and good old-fashioned Colossus on Clearlove.
And Clearlove also being spotted with a ward, seeing him do the red buff. So as you mentioned, Summoner's Keystone Masteries. The Warlord's Bloodlust, very rarely seen from Smlz, usually goes towards the Fervor of Battle.
As Icon clears out these minions mid, he hasn't missed one so far. Junglers are starting on that top side, but you mentioned Smlz taking that Warlords. Perhaps that'll come in handy as he's pushing bottom against Zet. See, he started Doran's Blade and single Biscuit against Zet, who started Longsword 3 Biscuit.
And there should be very rarely be reasons to actually have a pushing bottom lane for a Lulu and a Varus against a Caitlyn Karma. They can do too much damage to you whilst pushing. So OMG should have the priority down in this bottom lane. It means that their jungler can focus this side of the map if he chooses. And by starting the red buff, by starting on that side of the map, very easy for him to then translate that to at least the bottom lane Scuttle Crab control for the level 4 clear. He is at least in after all. But you have to look at Clearlove to contrast that. He's playing the Rex side. They know he started red, so they can safely assume that he's going to be doing his blue buffer on that side of the map right now. It's about if they can actually get something going, because this mid lane already pretty spicy for Icon.
Yeah, Scout is just tossing out shot after shot. Icon trying to heal up with his Corrupting Potion. He's got teleport, so if he gets pushed out, he can get right back in, but wants to try to go for at least a Dark Seal for some additional sustain, as he's just constantly being bullied over and over.
He gets a trade back. Potentially one that kills him.
That's Exhaust. He's going to try to flash the wall. Gets away from the Prey Seeker,
Still got him.
Auto attack homes through. That's first blood from Scout.
He has to block for Scout here, however, Clearlove. Just be careful of the cheeky World 6. However, that first kill, that's inexcusable from Icon, unfortunately, because he was trying to bait, and so he does die as a bait. Meanwhile, bottom.
Yeah, Meiko eats a lot of damage. That's Ignite as well. The auto attack. Again, a kill from the duo lane of OMG as they push Zet back under his turret. He's still holding on to his flash as
World
Smlz.
6 is coming down as well.
He's still holding on to that, and this is a large minion wave.
He's now cutting him off between the turrets, so unless the Varus is already out.
He's hanging on to that flash, sidesteps the Sonic Wave. Great juke from Zet, keeps him alive.
And that was a 50-50 between life and death potentially there for Zet. Had no heal. As we get to see this kill again, I believe it was just a long-distance auto attack as he tries to flash the Prey Seeker. Oh, it was a Q. Flash Q out of Scout, so he's able to do that blind.
Yeah, great prediction.
As meanwhile, we're back.
Now they're diving onto Zet. Smlz dies as he goes way too deep.
5
the
dies
turret
as well.
gets another one. That's a double kill for Zet. Massive mistake.
That is really unfortunate now that we have come out of a replay and we didn't actually see how that transpired.
Yeah, I think Zet might have gone back to bait it out, and then World 6 did Krugs, maybe?
Well, I mean, the moral of the story is that OMG have definitely just cooked their advantage in the bottom lane.
Yeah.
By having Smlz die in particular, that's a lot of their strength out the window.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is already a problem point that we're looking at, the middle lane. That's why we're constantly looking at this, compliments of the observers.
Icon clearing these out. He's just trying so hard. And actually did go for the Doran's Ring instead of Dark Seal, so looking for a little bit more of an actual health pool, flat health. The
problem, though, like about this bottom lane that we mentioned, is forced into a pickaxe purchase to keep up with long swords is really efficient. As Scout is taking a bit of deeps.
Yeah, 5 tries to get max range on the Soul Flare, but Scout's able to walk it away. Knowing that there were no summoners from Scout, he's going to recall under turret. And actually catch the wave. He's got Clearlove there for support.
Really struggling.
Yeah, he's having a tough time.
Actually
there he goes.
Hey!
Stays for 1 of 4 minions.
He is getting experience, though,
yeah,
which is more important. The closer to 6 you get, the better off you'll be in. The longer it takes for Icon to get 6 and that you've spent in lane, the safer you are as well.
Absolutely. As that's a double Doran's Ring and the Amp Tome from Scout for some raw stats. World 6 finds Clearlove making his way around. That's the level 6 immediately ticked over, and the burst damage onto World 6. Icon is able to get a kill of his own. He ticks over onto level 6, drops Chum the Waters before dashing away. Clearlove has flash.
The tunnel.
And should be able to follow up in just a second as he sidesteps the Prey Seeker, but decides not to use his flash to try looking for the kill on Icon.
So there would have been no knock-up reset from Clearlove, even if he did flash.
Yeah, he did use it. You're right.
It would have been too challenging, I think, to get the animation buffers between all of his spells. Still looking. And
Icon
finding.
Standing still. Oh! But Playful Trickster from Icon to read the Prey Seeker means he survives. Still within experience range of these minions.
However, it does still delay his recall. Yeah. So Scout's going to come back from the Death Chamber. He's already walking down towards this middle lane. Will now push in, have a slight advantage because they're still equal in gold as they both have a kill apiece. We'll now just get extra minions.
Yeah, meanwhile, with all the fun bottom, or excuse me, mid lane, we take a look bottom. You can see Bilgewater Cutlass finished for Zet. He's able to heal himself up, no longer so concerned about taking this massive trades with Smlz. That a kill and assist definitely helping him out. Even Frostfang from Meiko for additional gold and some movement speed. As 5, you can see, takes a bit of damage. Xiyang trading with Koro up top. Just the standard Phage against Vamp Scepter, so it is AD Kennen we're seeing out of Koro.
Yeah, Koro being super respectful in the way that he's playing at the moment. Notice that the second red buff had just spawned, so he was playing super carefully, expecting World 6 to be nearby. Of course, the Lee Sin isn't ganking him, is now going back towards bottom, but nothing has spotted him really doing that. And so the Kennen plays safely, giving Jayce a free laning phase for the moment. I'm sure Xiyang will be happy with that.
With that, Clearlove races back out onto the map with Tracker's Knife and a Bomby Cinder.
Scout definitely still has control of this lane. He even uses the Q at the same time as leveling up to stay at full mana, maximizing the amount of trade that he could do if there was an ultimate to come out.
And he's just waiting for the absolute latest he can to get those minions. Clearlove actually heading top. Tunnels over. Goes for the flash knockup on the Xiyang. That's slicing Maelstrom as they stagger their crowd control for a lot of damage. Clearlove takes some shots, but will survive as Koro gets a kill onto Xiyang.
And Clearlove when he has Rek'Sai compared to Clearlove when he has anything else right now feels much better for him and for EDG. Being able to dive things, being able to be a tank, honestly, for the roster has set them up. OMG, as you can see, are still trying to trade. Cloud Drake hurts a lot, but if they're able to get the Cloud Drake compared to the damage going onto this turret, it's a temporary worth. Maybe not a long-term worth.
Icon's actually showing up bottom. He's got his Hextech Revolver and hasn't been spotted out yet as Meiko eats some initial harass. Shield keeps him rather topped up, and that is a large minion wave pushing away.
They're diving a pushing wave with a Lulu in it. They're actually looking to maybe catch them between turrets.
And that's exactly what they do. Flash, ace in the hole. Chain of Corruption prevents follow-up. They've almost got it, but Icon flashes back and Zet punishes them. They continue to go in. The Zet Ignite burn. They get him just outside of turret range. Meiko ticks over level 6 from the assist. Smlz takes a shot and forced to flash away. Zet has almost got Piercing Arrow, and that's why he's chasing, hanging on to Flash. Flash, arrow, heal out of Smlz, but now Zet has got to back away, sidesteps the Sonic Wave,
are taking
and
the fight.
OMG are still making a huge mistake by trying to get in, and the Piltover Peacemaker misses.
It's like wacky races right now.
Yeah.
Everyone calm down and just stop diving EDG. They've literally got a Varus and Lulu with 4 summoners. Ticks over to 6 because Icon dives. Could not have gone more poorly if you were OMG just there. So well done to EDG, making sure that OMG's mistakes were punished.
Now we're seeing 6-2 at the 10-minute mark. A 3,500 gold lead as the top tier 1 was broken by EDG earlier. Icon is at a massive CS deficit mid, and though he's trying to defend, it's taking a lot of damage. World 6 shows up. They are able to get enough burst to kill onto Clearlove, but Koro shows up to finish off the turret, and that's Flash from World 6. So yeah, they got a kill, but EDG are still taking these big neutral objectives.
That's actually miscommunication out of both Clearlove and Scout. One backs away, one wants the turret, so he does go down for it, but you're correct. Koro being here means that the turret will drop. They may consider pressuring, but of course Koro now has to go back to his home in the top lane as it's about to get pushed in.
Yeah, Xiyang tries to push it back out. Still no massive item, not even a tier, not even a Black Cleaver, not even a serrated Dirk on that Jayce. Though he has been laning rather comfortably against Koro. Now he's not having that impact. Now that Koro has been unlocked from having that tier 1 taken. Bottom, Zed, you can see he's got his own Bilgewater and a recurve bow. Looks like Smlz.
And last hitting. Look at that.
You can see Smlz has actually got a BF sword and a pickaxe.
Are you ready? They're going to dive bottom again.
Oh man, Icon's not there. It's 3 versus 2. No summoner spells, 5 races in.
Clearlove is on his way down, so just be prepared for that, OMG.
Yeah, get some initial damage. Chain of Corruption onto World 6. They've got so much burst. Zet is doing work here.
And Clearlove is now here.
Yeah, shows up just in time. That's teleport being used by Xiyang and answered by Koro. It is canceled at the last second by both of them.
And that was a game of teleport chicken from top laner. Xiyang did not want to go in there.
No.
Koro was only going to if Xiyang did. Now they pressure bottom lane. No answer there from OMG. Clearlove having more of an impact just because he's a tank. World 6 not having an impact right now. It all involves just giving his opponents the advantage.
And by pressuring this blue buff, EDG are even going so far as to pressure the bottom tier 1 and take that. Meiko is finishing it off with Zet. Actually, they haven't quite finished it off just yet, as Smlz is able to walk back with some support from his mid laner and his jungler on that side of the map.
Yeah, the priority was over the blue buff more so than the bottom lane turret. They've acknowledged that it can go down.
I apologize, the teleport was from Icon, not Xiyang. So there is still a possibility for OMG to try and fight, but instead they're just going to defend their tier 1 turret.
Completely spaced on Icon having that teleport.
Yeah.
It does mean you're correct that Xiyang also able to be around at any moment can definitely prevent them from perhaps taking turrets, and maybe EDG look for the safe route, acknowledging the numbers disadvantage. But also, as it stands, they are bringing Koro around to these places, also rotating him, knowing that, you know what, Xiyang, he's trying to freeze a wave perhaps. He's pushing it slowly, and it's a super deep compromised position for Koro to be in. But because he can come bottom and pressure that turret, it's bound to fall eventually. And then he just goes back up, wanders, or waddles even. He does walk a bit waddly towards the top lane. Collect the CS that Xiyang has set up for him.
It's those tiny Yordle feet, just so tough. Zet's finished off his Blade of the Ruined King. You can see Berserker Greaves out of Smlz, so again, going for that turret pushing build. But his own turret is the first to fall in this bottom lane, as it's 3 turrets to 0 for EDG. They have unlocked all of their laners at this point. With Koro on that hypermobile Rek'Sai, OMG have got to find themselves worrying.
Now definitely have a cause for concern right now. Scout is struggling with these last hits. He should be further ahead, but he's missing so many. Back foot well and truly there for OMG, you're correct. But now is the hardest part where your shot calling needs to be important. How do you break the inner turrets? Or are you going to force something like the Infernal Drake?
Yeah,
which should be the easiest thing.
And this is the same problem that we criticized from EDG when we saw them look weak during the regular season. Sure, they can take an advantage and take that early objective, but what's next? Right now, it looks like that next is an assassination onto Icon as they are throwing everything to kill him. A 3-member collapse from outside of vision. Without that Fizz there, they might keep going.
You have to feel bad if you're Icon. Literally everything missed except for a knockout from Meiko.
Yeah.
He dodged it all or it just missed. Scout stun Zet's ultimate, but they could still lock him down because Syndra can press their R button, and they have a 3-0-1 Varus. It's now 3-0-2. He does so much damage.
Yeah. Now he's going to start firing shots across. Black Cleaver finish from Xiyang, but Koro is pushing up top along with Clearlove, so it's 2 tier 2s being pressed. And seems like EDG not falling prey to that issue that they had earlier in the split.
And Icon's super close to having his teleport available again, so these opportunities to use a numbers advantage go out the window. Even if you kill the Fizz, it's early enough in the game that he'll respawn eventually after maybe 1 wave, and then he's there ready to go instantly. So they get the pick, they get a kill, maybe a bit of damage here and there, onto some structures, but they don't break anything open just yet. We mentioned already the Infernal Drake could be something they want to look towards. Well, they didn't take any steps towards the Infernal Drake. They actually looked for the structures above all else.
They set up so much vision on the top side of the map. We actually just saw a recall finish from Meiko, so he's all topped off. And Clearlove still waiting on that cooldown for his Void Rush to get back out onto the map. So we'll have to make do with those control wards from Scout and the vision from Meiko instead. But they are setting up rather nicely. They still keep themselves on the map, pressing into OMG's territory.
Well, I mean, the beauty of it is, vision aside, Clearlove is a Rek'Sai, so he still has the tremor sensors. Again, a champion we don't often see anymore, but still has the unique strength of being able to just walk around, burrowed into the ground, and see everybody that was placing vision around them.
Yeah, now so confidently, EDG just turn onto the Infernal Dragon. Very confident that OMG will not take a fight here, as it's only 16 minutes in. Now that's a Dragon for EDG. They're still up by about 5,300 gold. And what's next?
Well, the next one's also going to be a Mountain Drake, speaking of what's next, which is important for trying to break the further stages of this game. If OMG can sneak one, get a team fight, suddenly they can take more objectives just because of the Drake. But you're expecting Koro now to rotate. His new game plan, push wave, pretend that I am not here anymore, but I'm either here or I'm mid. It's like a magician.
Where's he coming? Left? Is he up top? Is he in mid? Is he bottom? Oh god, he was under my chair the whole time.
He is invisible though, to the point where they might actually just do Rift Herald because there's nothing for him to do. And the only reason that he's invisible and it's working is because Xiyang has too much presence, or their vision that they have for OMG's side is always going to be too big of a deal.
Yeah, you can see how far back he's sitting from that minion wave, knowing that Koro and Clearlove are missing. Bit of a disagreement over who's going to get that Rip Void.
No, it was recall.
Yeah.
Don't worry, there's no disagreements.
I mean, he was sitting on it, but decided to back away. And now we still see the split push from Scout matching Icon down bottom. Icon has teleport, but this is the bottom tier 1 being defended. That's a fully stocked new Tracker's Knife and looks towards a Randuin's Omen on Clearlove. His blue buff is being passed over to Icon. And OMG, they've, with nothing left on the map but their tier 2s, they're able to hold on for now, but EDG are just biding their time until the next big neutral objective or an opening to crack one of these tier 2s presents itself.
And it does feel like the game plan as well is stack some armor up, just kill Icon first, use the Syndra, or force him to play for Trickster defensively, and then kill the rest of the team. Because Smlz a little bit behind, especially compared to Zet. World 6 physical damage, 1 and 2 will do a lot of damage, but is super fragile.
Yeah.
And then Xiyang as well, Black Cleaver first item. So when they stack that MR and they are able to actually team fight, you would expect that all of the armor from EDG tips it over.
Already preparing themselves for success. This is the intelligent team EDG, the first time in years that they have not been to a finals in the LPL. And now they're tied 1-1 in this third place match against Team OMG. A loss in this game, a loss in this best of 5 would be a massive disappointment to the organization. But they are setting themselves up to continue moving forward and take the win in this game as they are running their advantage against OMG. Now pushing that top tier 2 as OMG were looking for a pick bottom, but did not find it because of the dodge from Koro. Scout and Meiko actually finish it off before OMG can respond.
Yeah, Jayce has got wave clear, but not when there's front and back wave minions all pushing at the same time. He can only hit one of them, and so there is enough minion health to take down the structure. Clearlove now setting up mid lane for the same reason. They want to group mid, force them to respond mid, and then perhaps look at this bottom lane. But all of this is just buying time, using the map advantage that they have to grow smaller, incremental, but consistently growing leads. EDG are playing this out super cautiously.
Just being very intelligent in this game. Very low risk, low reward, but eventually they start stacking up into just a larger cumulative advantage.
Well, that one time they pushed in top lane and got it to half health, exactly as you mentioned, now stacks up towards actually getting it the second time they push it.
The small investment.
Yeah, they're thinking long-term loans.
Yeah. Like the 2% increase over 40 years versus the 10% increase over 2.
This is also a point, however, where OMG might be happier. Of course, not having your outer turrets means it's a challenge to be in a safe position. EDG, no turrets forward, so they're pretty content with how the map stands.
And even take a look at the ward lines.
Yeah, exactly. It's all defensive from OMG, but realistically as well, they can 1-3-1. So OMG can split push if they're allowed to do so. If there's ever a moment where EDG have a lapse in judgment or they lack vision in an area, and a 1-3-1 is set up by the side of OMG, there's no real answer that EDG want to actually put against it. You have to put a Syndra against the Fizz, but if you do that, you don't have your Syndra for team fighting.
EDG, however, are all prepared to flank on mid. You can see so many pings as they are trying to decide whether or not to push in. A trap line gets cleared. There is a potential flank from Xiyang. Icon is spotted over the wall as he eats a stun and a lot of burst.
Wow.
And they've got enough to follow through as Meiko and Zet collapse on Scout's pick.
That is so much damage out of Scout on that Syndra. Zed, of course, manages to pick it off just at the very end with his long-range
hail of arrows, yeah.
But still, that's the most important pick again. No Fizz, no split pushing. Has got teleport, as we mentioned last time that he died, however.
And now they're playing both of these tier 2 turrets at once. The trap line is set up, but Zet is still able to fire across on this turret as the traps are just a little bit too far back. Meanwhile, Koro is splitting bottom. The minions are cleared, but it's already chunked down to a quarter of its health. Meanwhile, Koro is working up top with his glimpse of the void.
That's a case of we'll be back for you next time, turrets.
Teleport flank coming out of Icon. He's going to collapse into the river, but EDG are making their way topside. Icon has his chum the waters, races in, has found Zet, but the rest of EDG are already there. Has to use Playful Trickster to get away from another follow-up stun from Scout, and that's teleport used to try to make something happen, but EDG have already fallen back well in advance.
I think it just happens that the positioning of the recall from Meiko was near enough to the teleport that he was actually able to spot that one out, or a flank might have been possible. But they get to run away with enough time spared. They get to just walk it out and throw some stuns off at the Fizz as they walk their way through, as Kha'Zix is about to die to Baron.
Oh man, hops over.
He would have.
210 health if you take him one more hit. And
oh no.
You could see how desperate they were to get vision on that Baron side of the map. He should be fine.
Get off me, Krugs.
Finishes them off. Able to protect himself. And now Clearlove is just doing Mountain Dragon almost single-handedly. Koro's going to show up to help him, so too is Zet. They've sent to top. Meiko drops a ward and backs away. As, again, OMG's attempt to look for a pick is denied. We've seen them try that play over and over in most of these series. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it works against them. But EDG have definitely done their homework, and they do not fall for it.
Yeah, and Kha'Zix had just cleared out vision near the Baron area, so you'd have to expect that EDG were, if nothing else, wary of that fact. And so the ward was placed in the right spot from Meiko, but he would have been placing wards either way. EDG, now they don't die, have an opportunity to push forwards.
Yeah, Zet walks in. Chain of Corruption forces the flash away from Smlz as Clearlove shows up as well. They get a few more shots onto the turret. Now they're bringing in Scout as he prepares to start layering some Dark Spheres for a potential stun.
Icon has a flank as well.
Yeah, he's got his Chum the Waters. Who's he going to go for? They've set up a defensive line. Dashes in. But the tier 2 has already been broken. EDG have taken what they wanted. They've got what they came here for.
And we're at a point with Icon having no teleport that there's no such thing as a 1-3-1. So the Fizz was on the other side. Now had to walk towards mid, but by the time he got there, the turret had fallen again. All that pre-planning or the chip damage they get before now breaks the structures. OMG well and truly struggling. But the big thing, that last straw that EDG need is to actually secure themselves the Baron buff so they can break these structures more successfully.
Ooh, Icon, the Hitman, is looking for a play. That's Protobelt in, Chum the Waters. But he's under the turret. That's Exhaust as well to soak some of this damage. And Teleport from Koro to collapse. Didn't even need to, but it's completed anyways, because with the mid laner dead with no teleport, Zet finds Xiyang in the river, flashes to sidestep, tries to follow through, heal to chase onto Xiyang, Shock Blast Acceleration Gate. Zet does have his piercing arrow in just a moment. Is he going to leap over, lands the hail of arrows, and should be able to follow up with an auto attack, a solo kill onto Xiyang. As that is not Ships in the Night, that was Titanic that we just witnessed. Koro finds 5 in the jungle. This is just OMG falling apart one by one by one.
OMG falling apart, but also EDG just outplaying them on an individual basis. Scout versus Icon, you've got Zed against Xiyang, and all of these one-on-ones just go well and truly into EDG's favor. And that's pretty much the lights out moment for OMG, where all of that desperation even now barely exists. Icon not having a good performance compared to game number 2.
And that's what you talked about, that desperation. That Icon was hunting for the play against Scout. He tried to go for the outplay against Syndra with exhaust, but Scout, very well prepared, was able to get that solo kill with the support of his team. Even in the mid lane, Zet finding Xiyang, just not respecting that early damage. And with this, Baron buff now picked up by EDG. They have got the momentum in this series with a massive, or in this game with an 11,000 gold advantage. Now they are primed to start breaking the base of OMG.
Yeah, the best thing about all of those 1v1s is just the small details. EDG are ahead. They have the advantage in every single duel that does break out, but also the way they play it. Zet flashing the Jayce Q, knowing that he doesn't get move speed slowed, that he can continue auto attack and avoids the main damage tool out of the Jayce. And Scout getting the exhaust off before the playful tricks are able to dodge anything, so that it reduces the damage, means he doesn't get one hit. Like, yes, he's fed, but he's also preventing the worst case scenario from happening in an outplay by actually outplaying their opponents. They are well and truly on top of OMG.
Yeah, mechanically prepared. Now we do see a 4-1 split from EDG, as they are also macro prepared, bringing a minion wave towards the final remaining tier 2 of OMG. Koro is set to break it down. He's got some support from Clearlove, and though the Shock Blast hits him, he's doing so much damage with the Mountain Drake and AD Kennen. It drops as Chum the Waters finds Meiko. That support. Scout eats Ace in the hole. He's going to try to assassinate Meiko, Redemption and Wild Growth, but they manage to tag him with even more follow-up, and Meiko is the one who gets the kill. How's that, Icon?
Trying to assassinate a Lulu, not exactly the easiest of things to do. Meiko throws Redemption on himself, ults himself, and he's alright.
It's never a bad time. It's never a good time when your assassin tries to kill the support and doesn't succeed. Really speaks towards the target priority of OMG. Koro is just split pushing to his heart's content. He takes down the bottom inhibitor turret, turns onto the inhib. Meanwhile, Clearlove and Zet have walked up with Scout and are free-firing on that second inhibitor turret. Still 15 seconds for Icon. OMG have got the Baron for another 90 seconds. As World 6 eats a stun, Scout just escorts him on the way out. No unleashed power as they break one inhib and then the second.
Every time Scout gets a stun, he just shows them the door and says, this is your exit. If I have an ultimate, your exit's going to be the Death Chamber.
Yeah.
EDG, it's as simple as getting that one pick, but this is the 3rd time, if not the 4th time, this game that Icon has been the one person to die. And he hasn't died inside his own base. He's died fighting. If nothing else, it's admirable how much he commits to going forwards. Maybe it's tilt. I'm not going to be the one to say it.
I mean, we saw the emotion that he was wielding in his set against IMEG in game number 1, taunting on the corpses of his enemies before getting taunted on himself when he ended up dying. Good sidestep from World 6 to escape with his life. But you have to look at the emotional state from OMG, and they have got to pull it together. Game number 1 was a crushing stomp from EDG. Game number 3 looks to be a very similar theme. The question is, can OMG pull a rabbit out of a hat twice, or will OMG close the series as they are trying to turn this fight here? They've found one, and they have shown that it is, in fact, just a regular hat. The rabbit was under the table the whole time. They push forward onto the final inhibitor as Baron falls off. Clearlove is taking shots as Smlz tries to pop off, but that Syndra is massive. Zet kills the back line of Xiyang, and now they turn onto the inhib. It's up to Icon and 5 to try and defend, but super minions are on the Nexus turrets. 5 on the Fountain will die, and Icon tries to stall the wave, but can only do but watch in tears as his Nexus breaks. And in game number 3, EDG are 1 win away from taking 3rd place.
Setting themselves up much better in game number 3, and for the first time this game, Icon watches as his team dies, and he is left standing as the Nexus falls. OMG, you would not feel good after that game whatsoever.
You can still even see EDG are looking a little shaken. There you go. Clearlove's got a big old smile. And perhaps that's the charisma that we were looking for to enable Scout, to enable Meiko in returning towards this lineup. Though OMG will have to show us whether or not they can recover. But that's not a stairway to heaven. That's going a different direction. Frosco, welcome back to the desk. What's your take on this?
Yeah, it's going straight down for OMG. They fell apart across the map this time around. And like you said, Clearlove had a big smile, and I do want to kind of underline him. I feel like he's been jovial. He's been talking. He's been very vocal. You see him coming out onto the stage. He's either talking to Cora or he's talking to the coach, looking at scouts sometimes. And you have to think that he is the difference here.
Absolutely huge performance in setting up for his team with that vision and getting those early ganks across. Of course, Scout popped off against Icon as well, who was so greedy to try to take these fights.
But let's be real. The real MVP of EDG was OMG's bot lane. Like, the amount of attempted dives. Normally when I'm watching these games, I write down timestamps and how everything really fits together, and I stopped at 9:36, and that was a relatively long game, and I was like, they try to dive for the 4th time. I'm done.
It worked in game number 2. Surely we could try it again. Oh, it didn't work. Let's try again. Oh, it didn't work.
They're like Varus, Lulu. They both have their ultimates. Let's do it. Meanwhile, their top lane is just getting destroyed. Icon can't be mid lane. He needs to roam down to try to make that dive happen. Means that Scout's left alone in the mid lane, so the mid tower falls again super early in these series.
Tragically, it's not like the Princess Bride. You cannot build a tolerance to diving by going at it again and again. Eventually, the poison of that play will get to you and kill you. But we did see EDG play more intelligently around the map as a whole. I mean, they were playing with wards. They were playing with flanks. Icon was split pushing. Scout was split pushing against Icon to effectively neutralize him. And by the time Icon finally was fed up with it and looked for the 1v1 outplay, he was just too far behind.
Yeah, and again, Icon, I don't think it's the wrong decision that he does try to get the 1v1 kill or try to get an outplay, because if he doesn't, once the wave is reset and they actually bring Scout back towards the mid lane or group to where the team is, he'll have a bigger impact than Icon will, because he was already super far behind. From the very beginning of the game, Icon was behind. From his one decision to dive bottom, he was so far behind that he was out of the game, which is why he's then making these decisions. It's aggressive. It could be considered a mistake, but it's a decision that he made.
Sure, but those were the decisions that worked for him in previous series against Aimee in game number 3 of Team WE, going aggressively forward. Even Ari in game number 2, looking for those charms. Sometimes he hit them, they were clutch. Sometimes he missed, he still zoned the team away.
But he's not really getting the best of Scout in this series so far. And we always talk about, you know, the LPL mid laners, the likes of Rookie comes to mind, Icon's up there. But Scout, like, when we think on it, when we sit enough, we're like, oh yeah, Scout, he's really good. You know, he's hard carry 1v9 EDG to a couple of these victories that they should have lost. But I feel like we constantly kind of overlook him, and then he just slaps everyone in the face with like MVP after MVP.
Yeah, and this is the MVP that you were talking about, taking that win on that Syndra. Now his 2nd MVP in this best of 5.
And I know you guys weren't super impressed with the Q fadeaway, the level 1.
The flash over the wall.
Yeah, this is crazy. I thought for sure, just like Rusty did, that it was a distant fadeaway auto attack to kill him the first time. But nah, it's the flash blind Q to find Fizz in the brush right there.
The prediction read. And then, of course, this was the dive bottom where OMG's bottom lane were so desperate for the kills.
Moment.
The first time, yeah.
That OMG lost the game. Right there.
This is a terrible idea.
We can do it. We can do it. We can't do it. We can't do it.
It's that moment where you see Smlz, and it wasn't on that dive because they dove 3 times bottom. It was on the second one where he actually just flashes over the wall, but he paces back and forth. He's like, I'm screwed.
I can't do anything. Yeah. Okay, so then we're now getting into game number 4 in just a few minutes. It's set point for Team EDG. If they take the win here, they're totally set. They take 3rd place. Of course, still a bit of a disappointment to EDG, but they can at least walk away with that. If they lose, it would be a massive disappointment. What does OMG do to inflict that disappointment on EDG? How do they come back in this series and bring us to an ace match?
I think the first thing that you have to really highlight for OMG coming into the next match is that Clearlove looks 5 times better at a minimum on Rek'Sai. It's like the only person in our league that wants to play Rek'Sai, potentially in the whole world, that is obsessed with picking it as a priority, but he wins with it every time.
I agree with that, but I don't want the audience to take away that he looks bad on the Kha'Zix, because he looked amazing on Kha'Zix as well. You know, getting Baron steals, getting the Elder Dragon steals, picking up all those kills. But I agree that the Rek'Sai just empowers his team so much better, whereas the Kha'Zix is just empowering him. And when we have Clearlove on the field, like we